Ladies and gentlemen, do you believe that one word can take you from nothing to billions? Most will scoff, dismissing it as impossible. They believe wealth is something to be earned through toil, gained through connections, or given only to the fortunate few. But I tell you, everything you see, every fortune, every rise from obscurity to greatness began with a single word, spoken in conviction. Most people believe that external circumstances shape their destiny. They believe that opportunity is something outside of them, that success is dictated by luck, the economy, or the actions of others. They see only what their physical senses show them, and they accept it as truth. And so, they live in limitation. But I say to you, nothing exists in this world except that which is first declared in consciousness. The riches you seek, the success you desire, the billions you dream of, they are already within you, waiting to be expressed. The word you speak, when spoken with absolute conviction, has the power to alter the course of your entire life. Everything begins with assumption. The moment you declare something as true, the entire universe begins moving to bring it to pass. Yet most fail because they continue to affirm their current limitations. They say, I am broke, I am struggling, I am waiting for success, and by these words they remain bound to their current condition. You must understand, the world does not bring you what you want, it brings you who you are. If you continue to declare lack, you will experience lack. If you continue to affirm struggle, struggle will persist. You do not describe reality, you create it. And you create it with the word you accept as truth. There is no power in this world greater than your ability to declare who you are. This is not wishful thinking. This is not positive affirmation without substance. This is the law of consciousness. The moment you claim a new identity, the world shifts to reflect it. I tell you, speak the word of wealth and it shall be yours. The mistake is believing that your current reality is permanent. Nothing you see is fixed. Your bank account, your business, your success or your failure, these are only reflections of your past assumptions. If you wish to change them, you must first change what you declare to be true. When a person assumes wealth, not as a wish, but as a fact of being, everything begins to change. Opportunities arise where none existed. Ideas flow effortlessly. The right people appear at the right time. But this is not coincidence. This is the natural outworking of an assumed state. It is the unfolding of what was first established in consciousness. Most will not believe this because they are enslaved by their five senses. They believe only in what they can see, touch, and count, and so they remain bound to their present conditions. But those who understand this truth know that reality is not created from the outside in, it is created from the inside out. You do not wait for wealth to appear before declaring yourself wealthy. You declare it first. You assume it first, and by that assumption, the world has no choice but to reflect it back to you. This is not a philosophy of idleness. This is not about sitting still and waiting for riches to fall from the sky. This is about standing in the conviction that you are already that which you seek to be. Your word is the seed. Every great fortune was first an unseen idea, a silent conviction, a private declaration, before it became visible to the world. Those who have risen from nothing to greatness have all understood this, whether consciously or unconsciously. They did not hope to be wealthy. They assumed it. They did not wish for success. They claimed it. And in time, the world conformed to their assumption. The difference between one who remains in poverty and one who rises to wealth is not intelligence, not education, not privilege. It is simply what they declare to be true about themselves. The poor man says, I am struggling. The wealthy man, before his wealth ever appears, says, I am successful. And because both affirm their reality with conviction, both are correct. You may ask, but how do I believe something that is not yet visible? I tell you, you do not need proof, only persistence. The moment you say, I am wealthy, and hold firm to that assumption, the world will rearrange itself to make it so. Doubt will attempt to creep in, The world will try to convince you otherwise, but you must remain faithful to the new assumption. There will be moments when nothing seems to change. You may look around and see the same circumstances, but do not be deceived. The moment the seed is planted, the process has already begun. The wealth you claim is already making its way to you. If you persist, if you refuse to accept the evidence of the senses and remain loyal to your word, then nothing can stop the manifestation of your assumption. Many abandon their assumption too soon. They allow fear, doubt, and impatience to shake them. And so they return to their old state, speaking once again the words of limitation. But those who hold firm, those who refuse to waver, will see their assumption harden into fact. I say to you, speak only that which you wish to experience. Speak not of failure, not of lack, not of struggle. Let every word that leaves your lips be an affirmation of the life you wish to create, and in time it will be so. You stand at the doorway of infinite possibility. The key to unlocking it is already in your hands. Speak the word, declare your wealth, and refuse to accept anything less. The moment you do, the world will move to make it true. This is not a promise, this is law. Everything begins with the spoken word. Every fortune, every success story, every rise from poverty to riches, it all starts with a declaration. The world is not something to be chased, it is something to be commanded. The riches you seek, the wealth you desire, the billions you dream of, these are not outside of you, waiting to be earned through effort or given through chance. They exist within, waiting to be claimed. To desire wealth is natural, but to hope for it without assuming its reality is to remain in a state of lack. The mistake most make is believing wealth is something separate from them, something that must be attained through struggle. But there is no separation between you and the riches you seek. The only barrier is the assumption you currently hold. Change that assumption, and your world must conform. Most people look at their bank account, their circumstances, and say, I am broke, I am struggling, I am waiting for success. And by these words, they remain in the state of lack. They think they are merely describing their situation, but they are creating it. The moment you declare something as true, the world moves to make it so. Speak the word, assume the feeling of its fulfillment, and persist. That which was once unseen will take form. There is a power in assumption that most never recognize. If you desire wealth, do not seek it as though it is separate from you. Declare it as your present reality. Feel the truth of it. Accept it with conviction. Wealth is not something you attract. It is something you become. When you shift your state of consciousness to that of a wealthy person, the world will reflect that change. This is not theory. This is law. The spoken word holds tremendous power, yet few use it wisely. Most speak of their struggles, their hardships, their limitations, and so they experience more of the same. They do not realize that their words are instructions to the subconscious mind. The mind accepts what it is given without question and shapes reality accordingly. The person who constantly says, I cannot afford it, is issuing a command that ensures they will remain in that state. The person who confidently declares, I am wealthy, I am successful, I am a billionaire, is setting into motion forces that will manifest that assumption into reality. Every great success has first been an inner conviction. The billionaire does not become wealthy through external means alone. He first assumes himself to be wealthy in mind. Before the first dollar appears, before the first opportunity arises, he has already accepted his wealth as reality. This is why two people can be given the same opportunities, yet one rises to greatness while the other remains stagnant. It is not luck. It is not circumstance. It is the assumed identity each holds within. To speak wealth into existence, one must do so with unshakable belief. There can be no hesitation, no doubt, no questioning. The moment you waver, the moment you allow external reality to dictate your assumption, you fall back into the old state. Wealth is not acquired through effort alone, but through inner conviction. The world is simply a reflection of that which is held within. If the assumption of wealth is persisted in, it must become reality. The subconscious mind, when impressed with an idea, finds ways to express it. It moves circumstances, inspires actions, orchestrates events to align with the assumption held. If you believe yourself to be wealthy, ideas will come, opportunities will arise, paths will clear, and those around you will begin to see you differently. But none of this happens by chance. It is the outworking of your belief. It is not enough to say the words. They must be felt. A person may repeat, "I am wealthy," all day long, yet if they continue to feel lack, they will remain in lack. Words alone do not create. Feeling does. The secret is to say the word and then assume the feeling of its truth. This is where most fail. They affirm their desires, but then allow doubt, fear, and old beliefs to override their assumption. And so they remain in the same place, wondering why nothing changes. A man who speaks of wealth while feeling poor is like a gardener who plants seeds and then uproots them before they can grow. There must be faith. There must be persistence. The moment you accept the truth of your new state and refuse to be shaken by appearances, the process begins. It may seem as though nothing is happening at first, but do not be deceived. The world is already shifting. The bridge of events is unfolding, leading you to the fulfillment of that which you have declared. There will be those who tell you that words are empty, that reality is fixed, that wealth can only come through external means. They speak from their own limitations, their own unawakened state. Do not listen. The power to shape reality has always been within you. The only question is whether you will claim it. If you truly wish to move from nothing to billions, you must first become the person who possesses billions. This is not about pretending or mere positive thinking. It is about knowing. Know that you are already that which you desire to be, and the world will align itself accordingly. Nothing is keeping you from wealth except the assumption you hold. Speak the word, accept it as truth, feel it as reality, and persist in that state. The wealth you seek is already yours. The moment you claim it, the world must conform. Everything begins and ends in consciousness. Wealth is not something external, not something distant, not something to be earned or acquired. It is something to be claimed. The wealth you seek is already within you, waiting for recognition, waiting for acceptance. It is not found in effort alone, nor in endless toil, nor in the pursuit of opportunity. It is found in assumption, the assumption that you are already that which you seek to be. There are those who chase money as though it is something separate from them. They believe it must be pursued, that it exists beyond their reach, that it must be fought for. And so they struggle, never realizing that their very assumption of struggle is what keeps them bound. Money is not something to be chased. It is something to be commanded. It is a reflection of the state of mind. The man who assumes himself to be wealthy does not chase money, for money comes to him. The subconscious mind does not question, it accepts. If you believe wealth to be difficult to attain, if you believe riches belong only to others, if you believe abundance is something reserved for the lucky few, then that is the reality you will experience. But if you assume that wealth is already yours, if you declare with certainty that you are prosperous, if you claim riches as your natural state, then the world will rearrange itself to reflect that assumption. The world does not respond to effort alone. It responds to belief. The assumption you hold shapes the opportunities that arise, the actions you take, and the results you see. Those who assume themselves to be wealthy move through the world with confidence. They see opportunity where others see obstacles. They expect success where others expect failure. And because they expect it, it is drawn to them. Most people do not persist in their assumption. They declare wealth for a moment, but then look to the world for confirmation. When they see no immediate evidence, they fall back into doubt, into worry, into their old state. And so they remain stuck, forever waiting, forever hoping, never realizing that the world cannot reflect a reality they do not hold firm within. The secret to wealth is certainty. The moment a man knows he is wealthy, the moment he accepts it as an undeniable truth, the world must conform. But that certainty must not be shaken by appearances. Do not look at the balance in your bank account and allow it to dictate your belief. Do not look at your circumstances and allow them to convince you otherwise. The outer world is simply a reflection of the inner state. Change the state, and the world will follow. There is no power outside of you. No economy, no market, no external force can dictate your wealth, unless you allow it. The only power is within, and it is activated by your assumption of already being that which you seek. The moment you claim wealth as your reality, the bridge of events begins to unfold. You will be led to the right ideas, the right opportunities, the right people. But none of it will happen if you remain in a state of lack, waiting for proof before you believe. The world does not bring you what you want, it brings you who you are. If you continue to believe that you must struggle for wealth, then struggle will be your reality. If you continue to see yourself as lacking, then lack will persist. But the moment you assume the consciousness of wealth, everything changes. The subconscious mind will bring about whatever is persistently impressed upon it. It does not matter how much effort you exert, how many hours you work, how much action you take. If the assumption is not there, the results will not come. Many believe that by working harder, by striving, by pushing themselves to exhaustion, they will force success to appear. But they fail to realize that true success is not a result of effort alone. It is the outward expression of an inner conviction. The man who assumes himself to be wealthy acts from that state, moves with confidence, attracts the right circumstances, and sees results effortlessly unfold. Most do not persist long enough to see their assumption become fact. They waver, they doubt, they let fear control them. They look for confirmation in the outside world instead of holding firm to their belief. And so they move from one assumption to another, never staying in one state long enough for it to harden into reality. The key is persistence. Declare wealth and hold to that assumption regardless of what appears before you. Speak only that which you wish to be true. Do not affirm lack. Do not affirm struggle. Do not affirm hardship. Let every word, every thought, every assumption be aligned with the reality you wish to experience. And in time, the world will mirror that assumption back to you. This is not wishful thinking. This is law. Everything that you will ever need, everything that you will ever desire, already exists in the invisible realm of consciousness. The only barrier between you and the life you dream of is your own assumption of lack. The moment you shift that assumption, the moment you claim abundance as your natural state, the world has no choice but to reflect it. Wealth is not created outside of you. It is revealed from within. It is not something you must earn, struggle for, or pursue. It is something you must become. The mistake most people make is believing that money, success, and abundance are external forces, dictated by chance, dictated by effort, dictated by circumstances. They look at their present conditions and accept them as truth. They say, I do not have enough, and so they continue to experience lack. They say, I am waiting for opportunity, and so opportunity remains distant. They say, I will be wealthy someday, and so wealth is forever pushed into the future, never arriving in the present. They do not realize that their very words, their very thoughts, their very assumptions are shaping their reality. The world is not something to be observed. It is something to be shaped. It is not fixed. It is fluid. The wealth you seek is already here, but it cannot reveal itself to you until you claim it in consciousness. The moment you assume yourself to be wealthy, the moment you declare it with conviction, the bridge of events begins to unfold, but most will not persist long enough to see it. They will declare abundance for a day, for a week, for a month, but when the world does not immediately reflect it, They fall back into doubt, into fear, into the old assumption of lack. And so they remain bound, not because the world is against them, but because they have not yet dared to fully accept the truth of their own power. The spoken word is the seed of all creation. Every great fortune, every rise from obscurity to wealth, every transformation of life began with a single declaration: I am. These two words, when spoken with conviction, shape reality itself. If you say, I am struggling, then struggle becomes your truth. If you say, I am failing, then failure follows. But if you boldly declare, I am successful, I am prosperous, I am wealthy, and persist in that assumption, then the world must conform. It is not a question of if, it is a certainty. Most people do not understand that reality is only the shadow of assumption. They believe they must wait for success to appear before they claim it. They wait for the evidence, the opportunity, the validation before they assume their new state. But this is why they remain in the same place. They do not realize that the assumption comes first and reality follows. The subconscious mind accepts whatever you impress upon it. It does not argue, it does not reason, it does not judge. It simply creates. And it creates based on the words you speak and the thoughts you hold. If you continuously tell yourself that wealth is coming one day, you are instructing the subconscious mind to keep it in the future, never allowing it to manifest now. But the moment you assume wealth as your present reality, the moment you declare it as a fact, the subconscious mind immediately begins rearranging your world to reflect that truth. This is why effort alone is not enough. Many believe that if they work hard, if they push, if they struggle, they will eventually attain wealth. But without the assumption of wealth, their efforts will always lead them back to where they began. They will work endlessly, only to find that no matter how much they earn, something always takes it away. They will chase opportunity after opportunity, only to watch them slip through their fingers. But those who assume wealth first find that success flows to them effortlessly. They act from a place of certainty. They move with confidence. They expect riches, and so riches come. The world is a mirror, reflecting back to you the state of being you occupy. You cannot hold the assumption of lack and expect to experience abundance. You cannot affirm struggle and expect ease. You must first become in consciousness that which you seek to be. And you become it by declaring it as already true. There will be moments when the world tries to convince you otherwise. There will be moments when circumstances appear unchanged, when the evidence of the senses contradicts your assumption. But this is where most fail. They allow what they see to dictate what they believe. The key is to persist in the assumption, regardless of appearances, to declare wealth even when the world shows lack, to hold firm to the truth that you are already abundant, even when there is no visible proof. And if you do this, if you persist, then the world must shift. The greatest fortunes were not built on external effort alone. They were built first in consciousness. Every billionaire, every success story, every rise to greatness began with a decision to assume success before it appeared. They did not wait for riches to come before declaring themselves wealthy. They declared it first. And by that declaration, by that assumption, the world moved to make it so. There is no force outside of you dictating your wealth. There is no luck, no fate, no external condition that holds power over you. The only power is within, the power to assume yourself to be that which you desire. And the moment you do, reality must conform. It is not a matter of chance. It is law. The world you experience is nothing more than a reflection of the assumptions you hold. Every event, every circumstance, every success or failure is simply the imagining of what you have persistently believed to be true. Nothing happens by chance. Nothing comes to you uninvited. The wealth you seek, the prosperity you desire, is already yours. But it can only be revealed when you assume it as your present reality. Most people believe they must work harder, push more, strive endlessly to create success. They have been conditioned to think that wealth is earned through struggle, that riches belong only to those who sacrifice, that abundance is reserved for the few. And so they toil, they chase, they exhaust themselves in an endless pursuit of money, never realizing that they are enslaved by their own belief in struggle. They think they are creating wealth, but they are only reinforcing the assumption that it is difficult to attain. Effort alone does not create success. The assumption behind the effort is what determines the result. The man who believes money is hard to earn will find that no matter how much he works, it always remains just out of reach. But the man who assumes himself to be wealthy, who walks through the world with the confidence of abundance, will find that opportunities present themselves effortlessly. His actions will be aligned with his assumption, and so everything he touches prospers. Reality does not respond to effort alone, it responds to belief. When you assume yourself to be rich, when you claim prosperity as your natural state, the world has no choice but to mirror that assumption back to you. But the assumption must be firm. It cannot waver. It cannot be something you entertain for a moment, only to discard when appearances seem unchanged. The key to unlocking wealth is persistence in assumption, even in the face of contradiction. Most people allow the evidence of the senses to dictate what they believe. They look at their bank account. They look at their financial situation, and they declare what they see. They say, I am broke, and so they remain broke. They say, I am struggling, and so struggle continues. They believe they are merely describing reality, but they are creating it. The words they speak, the thoughts they hold, the emotions they entertain, all of these are shaping the world around them. There is no power outside of consciousness. The subconscious mind accepts whatever is persistently impressed upon it, and once impressed, it will express that assumption in the world. If you declare, I am wealthy, and persist in that declaration with conviction, your subconscious mind will work tirelessly to bring about the conditions necessary to make it true. It will lead you to the right people, the right opportunities, the right ideas. It will shift circumstances, rearrange events, and guide you in ways that seem almost miraculous. But all of this begins with assumption. Wealth is not created through chance. It is not bestowed upon the fortunate few. It is not something that comes from the outside. It is something that is drawn from within. The moment you assume yourself to be wealthy, truly assume it with certainty, you set in motion forces that cannot be stopped. The outer world, no matter how fixed it may seem, must bend to reflect your inner state. Most people do not persist long enough to see their assumption harden into fact. They declare abundance for a moment, but when the world does not immediately reflect it, they fall back into doubt, into fear, into the old assumption of lack. And so they remain trapped in a cycle of waiting, hoping, and struggling, never realizing that it is their own wavering belief that keeps wealth at a distance. The world does not bring you what you want. It brings you who you are. If you want wealth, you must become wealth in consciousness before it can appear in form. You must speak as though you are already prosperous. You must think, feel, and act as if riches are your natural state. This is not pretending. This is assuming the truth of that which is not yet seen, knowing that by assumption alone, it must become visible. Everything you desire already exists, waiting for you to claim it. The only requirement is that you persist in the assumption that it is already yours. The world is simply a mirror, reflecting back the beliefs you hold. Assume abundance, and abundance must come. Assume prosperity, and prosperity will reveal itself. There is no limit to what you can create, for the only limit is the beliefs you hold about yourself. Nothing is stopping you but your own assumption. Nothing is delaying your success except the belief that it is still in the future. The moment you claim it, the moment you assume it, the moment you persist in it without doubt, the world must shift. This is not philosophy. This is law. Everything in this world is a projection of consciousness. The wealth you seek, the abundance you desire, does not come from external sources. It is born from within. The only thing standing between you and unlimited riches is the assumption that you do not yet have them. The moment you claim yourself to be wealthy, the moment you persist in that assumption, without doubt or hesitation, the world must rearrange itself to match that belief. Most people believe wealth is something to be earned, something to be pursued, something that comes through effort alone. They toil, they strive, they chase opportunities, yet they find themselves trapped in a cycle of struggle. They do not realize that the very assumption of struggle is what keeps them bound. They believe in hard work more than they believe in their own power, and so they find themselves constantly working, yet never arriving at the riches they desire. They have placed the cause of wealth outside of themselves, believing it comes from luck, from effort, from external forces, never realizing that the only true cause is within. Every great fortune ever built, every rise from poverty to riches, has begun with a change in consciousness. The one who assumes himself to be wealthy before there is any physical evidence to support it is the one who will see that assumption harden into reality. It is never the effort alone, nor the circumstances, nor the opportunities that create wealth. It is the belief in already having it that calls it forth. The world cannot help but reflect back to you that which you persistently believe yourself to be. Many fail because they look to the outside world for confirmation before they allow themselves to believe. They declare themselves rich one day, but then glance at their empty bank account and fall back into doubt. They imagine success, but when circumstances do not immediately shift, they return to fear. They do not persist in the new assumption long enough for the world to catch up. They allow appearances to dictate their belief rather than allowing belief to dictate appearances. The great secret is that the world must conform to assumption. It has no choice. But the assumption must be unwavering. It cannot be something entertained for a moment and then discarded when the senses show otherwise. The only reason anyone remains in lack is that they continue to assume it as real. They continue to affirm what they do not want, rather than claiming what is already theirs. The one who assumes wealth, despite appearances, will soon find that wealth appearing in his world in ways he could not have predicted. The subconscious mind does not argue, it simply accepts whatever is impressed upon it. If you impress upon it the idea that you are already prosperous, if you repeat this belief in thought, in word, in feeling, then the subconscious must bring forth the necessary circumstances, ideas, and actions to make it visible. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. The law that governs all creation states that what is held in consciousness with conviction must be made manifest in form. Many believe they must wait until they have proof before they can assume wealth, but this is precisely why they remain without it. The world does not deliver wealth to those who wait to see it before they believe it. It delivers wealth to those who first believe it without needing proof. The ones who rise to great fortunes are not those who say, "I will be rich someday." They are the ones who say, "I am rich now," even when there is nothing yet in their external world to confirm it. Those who truly understand this do not allow temporary circumstances to shake their belief. They do not look at lack and claim it as real. They do not see obstacles and accept them as final. Instead, they persist in their assumption, knowing that the world has no choice but to shift. Every billionaire, every magnate, every great success story began with a single, unwavering assumption that their wealth was already theirs. When you assume yourself to be wealthy, you begin to act as a wealthy person would. You think in terms of abundance. You expect opportunities. You move through the world with confidence. You no longer see obstacles, only stepping stones. You no longer fear loss because you know that wealth is your natural state. And because you expect riches, they must come. This is the way the world works. It is not a matter of chance, nor effort alone. It is a matter of assumption. The world is only a reflection, a mirror showing you what you persistently believe to be true. If you continue to assume struggle will persist. But the moment you assume wealth as your undeniable reality, everything in your world will shift to reflect it. There is nothing stopping you from wealth except your own reluctance to claim it. There is no force keeping riches from you except your hesitation to believe they are already yours. The moment you assume prosperity with certainty, the moment you speak it, feel it, know it to be true, the bridge of events will begin to unfold. It is not a question of if, it is a certainty. This is law. Everything you have ever desired, wealth, success, abundance, is already yours. It has never been outside of you, never something to be earned through struggle, never something withheld by chance or fate. The only barrier between you and your riches has always been your own assumption of lack. The moment you assume wealth as your reality, the moment you claim it with certainty and persist in that assumption, the world must conform. There is no power outside of you determining your success. The world is not something to be fought against or manipulated. It is simply a mirror reflecting back the beliefs you hold about yourself. If you assume yourself to be limited, to be struggling, to be waiting, then the world must show you more of the same. But if you dare to assume wealth, if you claim prosperity as your natural state and refuse to let appearances dictate your belief, then everything in your world must shift to match that assumption. The secret is persistence, not for a day, not for a week, but until the assumption hardens into fact. Most will give up too soon. They will declare wealth for a moment, then allow doubt to creep in when they see no immediate change. They will look to the outside world for confirmation before they believe, never realizing that the world is only reflecting what they have persistently assumed. But those who hold firm, those who persist despite all appearances, those who refuse to accept anything less than their assumption as reality, these are the ones who see their world transform. Everything begins and ends in consciousness. There is no external force granting or denying you riches. There is only your belief. Wealth is not something you find, it is something you become. The world has no choice but to bring you what you assume to be true. Assume wisely, assume boldly, assume persistently, and watch as reality bends to match your inner conviction.